Welcome to Third Phase UFO Report. I'm Rich Giordano from GUFON, and here is today's report. Well, it looks like sightings are still happening. We're going to go out to Third Phase and look at some new stuff. Some of these sightings are so unbelievable, I really don't have an explanation for them, so we'll need your help. But I am very excited to show you what we got here. And then at the end of this video, a little refresher course with Michael Sala. So let's see what the Cousins brothers have for us today, because we are starting out with somebody who is not an actor. Somebody who doesn't read from the script. And that somebody is Tim Burchett. So let's hear what Tim has to say and what the Cousins brothers have to say about Tim.
There's a representative named Tim Burchett, and he said something kind of strange on TMZ. Listen up to this clip.
I think that's ridiculous. If the Russians had UFO technology, I mean, they would own us right now.
So he talks about the Russians, and if they would have this kind of capability or technology, they would own us. They would have pulled the trigger and said, hey, look, it's going to be the Kremlin will be the United States or the world capital if they had this kind of technology. It's interesting because this is coming in from a representative, and he's got a lot to say. Listen to his next statement here.
It has to be something that's out of our galaxy.
So it's crazy, Brett. This rep, Tim, is stating that it has to be out of our galaxy if it's not maybe one of ours. What do you make of this? This is incredible coming in from Washington.
Yeah, it could be within our Milky Way, that's for sure. Maybe some other galaxy, Andromeda, you never know. But again, what's visiting Earth is a big question. And I do like that he's saying some things here that all our politicians should just step up to the plate and start releasing this information. Listen to what he says next.
They always say they're going to do something about it, and then they get in office.
That's what they always say. They're going to do it. They're going to give us this disclosure. But then again, when they get in there, they just kind of like get tight-lipped. And you know what happens? They get in the know, and then they tell them, shut up.
Yeah, the typical MO. But representatives, I guess they're kind of young guns in Washington, building their way up. I'm not too familiar with this representative, Tim Burchett, but he's saying the right things, in my opinion. Listen to what he states right here.
It's redacted. It's just a big blob of whiteout. And clearly something's going on.
He's tired of the lie as well, it seems, because even our representatives, our congressmen, they're not getting all the information. It's all redacted. Nobody knows what's going on, and it's the same MO, but at least there's some voice. I think we're making a difference, guys, because the pressure we've been putting on over the past year here in our documentary Countdown to Disclosure, I think we're shaking things up, and we're getting some kind of cool response coming in from this representative. Listen to this.
UFOs were in the Bible. Read Ezekiel. It talks about the wheel. They've been around since we've been around, and somebody needs to come up with some answers.
He sounds confident that he knows that they've been around for a long, long time, back to the modern human history of our existence. These are big statements here. I'm surprised. This is kind of leading up to this disclosure, and people are getting excited, even in Washington.
Yeah, it's about time this is being spoken on the steps of Congress and the White House, and it's going to the high class areas where it's being mentioned, and it's about time. Again, we know history. We've been following it, everybody here at Third Phase of Moon, and we appreciate you joining us.
I think Roswell was covered up.
He thinks Roswell was covered up. Well, there's a big elephant in the room right there. If anything, that comes down to this disclosure coming up real soon, the 25th, and if they drop that bombshell, which they should, that will be a game changer. That would be what we all want. It would flip the world, and we never look back. But I don't expect it, but they should release it.
Yeah, it's crazy because Tim Burchett, you could hear in his voice that he's not too happy about this cover-up of the Roswell, everything, this information. who knows? Maybe they're going to give us something. Maybe they should. It's not maybe they should. They have to.
They ought to take it serious. The American public wants to know, and frankly, we deserve it.
This first sighting is absolutely amazing. I have seriously no idea what it might be, but let's hear what the Cousins brothers think. And we'll start with Blake. This is amazing.
So we're looking at this video again, and I want to get your guys' thoughts. What's going on over the state of Hawaii? We see multiple objects come in from the left, and they immediately take a right bank up into the sky in a direction that seems very intelligent. What's going on here? Is this a bunch of drones in unison pulling up maneuvers, or is this some kind of other activity? Some people might even say these are, pigeons or birds, but something that was threatening to whatever these things are, possibly UFOs, maybe F-22 Raptors that were being engaged in the sky. They found out what was going on and took this immediate bank. There's something really strange going on right now around the world, and the UFO sightings are on the rise. What's your thoughts here, Brett?
You can tell the video is sped up. You can see the stars moving. You can see the palm trees shaking. And so what we're looking at is not in normal speed. In fact, you could see something coming into this frame may look like something that it's coming in fast, but in actuality, it's a lot slower than what we're looking at here. Again, what is this? Could it just be a flock of birds reflected off FLIR vision or a night camera? That's a possibility. Again, we're looking at things that are coming in from the other angles, and they seem to be kind of in formation as well. It's very interesting capture. I'm not ruling out these are just UFOs or something else. It could be maybe just animal life, birds just flying around. But again, we've been seeing high military activity right off the coast here on the Big Island of Hawaii, C-17s, and there's been some other adversaries kind of approaching our waters rather too close. And what's going on? Is there maybe a research, a recon of something that's out there, UFOs, USOs?
So what are we looking at here? This looks like sped up. Well, it is. It's sped up. It looks like it's going much faster than the natural speed of the video. You can see stars moving by. They're elliptical, and these, I don't know, you want to call them orbs or dots or objects, whatever. But, at this speed, they look like they're coming in extremely fast as a big group, a fleet of them. And this is the amazing part. It looks like they get swooped around, which they are, and then they follow in line almost directly behind the lead object. And there's a couple of others that seem to be, late followers. But look at this. They come in from the right, go left, and then you have a couple just go off to the left and keep going. You see some zooming in from the left, moving right. Meanwhile, let's not forget that this is sped up significantly. I would have to say probably 10 times the speed, depending on, it's hard to tell, but I'm just guessing because of how fast the stars are moving behind. But if this was slowed down, I wonder what it would look like. I'm going to slow it down. Can I do that? Just a little. So here I slowed it down 33% of the original speed. Kind of figured this is what it would look like, but I had to do it. I just wanted to see what it looked like. And if I saw this at night, and this doesn't even look like it's slow enough. I don't know. I'd kind of wonder what the heck is going on. This is bizarre. Anyway, I'm going to say I don't think this is drones. It's definitely not satellites. It's not balloons. Then what is it? Bugs? I don't know. It's really weird. I just don't get it. Anyway, we'll go to the next one, guys. Come on. This next one, you really got to stay buckled up. Are we looking at, I don't know, Close Encounters movie? This is amazing. Check this out from Timbuktu.
This is pretty cool. I've never received a video out of Timbuktu, but Bullet Hassan has some correspondence out there. He reached out to my Facebook. We've got a Facebook. The link is below. And he made some contact. And he said he received a video from his brother Hassan that was in contact with somebody in Timbuktu. And they captured something over the village over there that's kind of interesting. And Bullet has given us permission to share his report right here at Third Phase of Moon. Take a look at this.
Hey everybody, Bjorn here. I'm doing something slightly different and out of the ordinary. I'm going to be posting a video that came to my messages, and this is something I can't explain, and I am curious enough to figure out what it is. My brother Hassan does a lot of business out in Africa and received this video from one of his contacts. What you're about to see is a 1-minute video that has absolutely no special effect or editing involved. It is a 1-minute video taken and sent through WhatsApp. Here it is.
gaga har benera bada asine lumière ber esbe kanner ko wara jari ika ahinka ga moydi ka ahinka esbe kurkano no afori bun afoye ka dinasande bene ko ne aydi kanono esbe ga aga goro guna ga tumbutu bene dara ero gatti dikaga ne ga sambo sahayo il est presque erfongo baraga il est 19h04 aga tumbutu bene di kuna erga guna ga esbe kurkano akinda ci afo aka ahinka afo di gunu mode wo halmore ci na gadin warga gunak wallahi daraja wala moy de barka ma gal khabar en ko tondi gesse groupe ga parce que c'est be kurkanu no erga gunaga ne cara gayte gago farandi ka seni har million ki dot ne ga gunaga halmore da go benedira ha abun moy yor gor gunaga abun ana bun ka benne abun mare de cin voilà.
So what you just saw is the image that I have here on my screen. Basically, this was 2 glowing orbs appearing over a village in Timbuktu, Mali. This was taken on June 15th at about 8 p.m. The sun sets at about 7 and it was pitch black, yet 2 glowing orbs appeared in the sky above them and lit it up like it was daytime. Now, I don't know if enough people have started posting or sharing videos of this, but the person who shared this video with my brother is a very good friend and close contact of his, and basically quite credible. This is not a person that wants to go ahead and seek the limelight of UFO experiences or UAP experiences. This person just saw something he couldn't explain in the skies above him and took video of it right away. As you can see in the video, there are people in there also in the mid-ground looking up at the sky. Currently, I am taking this video to get stabilized and enhanced so we can go ahead and try and figure out exactly what this is. And from my experience working in film and television and in video games, this is not a special effect. I can spot a special effect a mile away without even thinking or blinking. It's my job to help create them. This is not a special effect. I can tell if an effect was done on a phone or not. This is not one of those things. This is not flares being shot from the ground or dropped from a plane above. Now, my brother and I had gone onto WhatsApp and spoken with Sal over an audio conference, and I tried recording it, but it didn't work out. But we will have more recordings and more conferences with him. Basically, Sal told me 2 glowing objects appeared in the sky. They did not make any sound. There were no planes around them or above them, and they disappeared as quietly as they appeared above them. So, what is this? I do not know is the safest answer that I can give you, but I'm willing to investigate a bit further and find out. And this will be the first of many updates I'll be posting on this video. And hopefully, maybe soon, we'll figure something out. Thanks.
So here's what we need to do on this one. Eliminate the possibilities. Is it 2 suns? No. According to the people who witnessed it, they appeared and then disappeared just like this. Just like you're seeing it. To me, it looks like when they dim out, they're not turning off, they're taking off. And they're shrinking with how fast their speed is. So they are literally going away from the camera in such a way that you can see it shrinking. And I love this because I'm trying to think, what is it? Are these fireworks? No, it can't be. I mean, only for a second, right? It would only be a firework, like right here, like right when they appear, right? But it looks like they're taking off. What if these are just firework displays? And they aren't taking off, but they're shrinking because they're using up their fuel or whatever. I don't know, man. I don't see any smoke. I don't see any, residue falling out from this. It literally looks like balls of light, like been reported, and then disappearing. And to get this on camera, yeah, it's pretty special. They see this thing. They're looking at it as if they don't understand. Yeah, right here from Timbuktu. How often, seriously, do you ever see reports come in from this part of the world? Those things just pop up. It's not like they're being shot up from the ground. You don't see them being shot up. You don't see them being, coming down out of the sky. They're not falling. It's pretty static. To me, it doesn't look like it's moving until the very end when it disappears, takes off. Yeah, this one I can't explain. Unless this is a firework or some sort of pyrotechnic that I don't understand. For now, I have no idea what this is. Literally no idea. If you guys have any idea what you think this might be, put it in the chat because I'd like to know what you think. Also, if you're watching this after the premiere, put a comment in the comment section on what you think this is. If you found out what it is, we'd like to know. You can email me at gufonradio@gmail.com or email ThirdPhaseOfMoon at cousinsbrothersproductions@gmail.com. We're definitely interested in seeing what you think. This isn't 2 suns. This isn't Star Wars. This does remind me of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And believe me, Close Encounters of the Third Kind had J. Allen Hynek, helping them with that movie, talking about the sightings that people saw. And one of those sightings in the beginning of Close Encounters talks about the sun. It came out at night. It spoke to me. He says the sun spoke to him. Remember the beginning of the movie? And then they started finding, here it is at 33%. I slowed it down so you can see what it looks like. As slow as possible. Even though it was in slow motion, I slowed it down more because I like the way it disappears. Right after this sighting, I've got a really nice segment coming up for you. So stay buckled in because it's about to get a little bit bumpy. All right, here we go.
Welcome back to Third Phase Moon. We've got a special guest today. Michael Sala is with us, and we're going to break it down in regards to what's going on with the Space Force. What did the general out of Israel, Eshed, said in regards to what the president knows about the secret technology. Is he going to release it? Plus, we're going to also get into what's up with the Space Force and the Guardians. Welcome to the show, Michael Sala. Thanks for joining us right here at Third Phase of Moon.
Aloha, Blake. Great to be here with you.
All right, well, you know what, let's just get it started. I know just yesterday or a couple days ago, they announced that they're going to be naming the people part of the Space Force, the crew members, the Guardians. What do you think that's all about?
Right, well, that was one of the things that they had to deliberate about over the last year. What were they going to call them? You know, you call US Marine Corps Marines, then you've got seamen, you've got airmen. So they decided to choose Guardians, which is really quite cool when you think about it, because people think of Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's kind of like a nice pop culture image for this new Space Force to have, that people regard them as this kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy, and I think it's a cool choice of name.
Absolutely. It's interesting too, the fact that there was this famous VHS tape that came out in the 80s with a thumbprint on it in regards to a flying saucer that landed in the field, and it was known as the Guardian. Do you think this has any similarity? Is it maybe connected to the Guardian tape versus Guardians of the Galaxy?
Well, I think when you look at names like that and you look at the movie industry, you know, we've got to think of what a lot of people have been telling us about the use of temporal technologies, that a lot of these programs actually seed ideas in the past, and so that they bear fruit at a certain point. So, you know, we've got to think that when it comes to kind of like conditioning the mass culture and using pop culture to kind of get people to think a certain way, we just can't think linearly. We can also think that, you know, these programs can send people back in time to influence ideas. So they could have gone back in time, introduced this idea of the Guardians, and now they choose the Guardian Force.
So it's very interesting. They come out with the name the Guardians. When do you think it's going to be really implemented or revealed, let me ask this, in regards to this secret technology that is yet to be released to the public? We know we're seeing things next to the ISS, these UFOs that are appearing more and more. Is there already a secret space fleet in space in regards to the Space Force?
Oh, there definitely is already a secret space program that has been run by the Air Force, together with the National Reconnaissance Office and the CIA. And what has happened is that because space was always regarded as a benign environment by international law, the secret spacecraft that were built were controlled by the CIA and the NRO and the NSA, because these are all oriented towards intelligence gathering. The idea of space as a warfighting domain was deliberately subjugated so that when it came to the deployment of these spacecraft, it would always be the intelligence community that would have control and command over these craft. What we have now with the introduction of Space Force is the idea that space is a warfighting domain. And so that means that when it comes to the deployment of these secret spacecraft that have been built and deployed in the 70s and 80s, that the intelligence community isn't going to be the one in control anymore. It's going to be the actual Space Command, which is going to be in control. So it's really revolutionary to actually, you know, not only have the creation of Space Force and to have these secret spacecraft redesignated in terms of how they are used. But also, it's vital to understand that because space is no longer viewed as a benign environment where satellites and space assets are protected, space is now going to be considered to be this dangerous warfighting domain, and so that means Space Force is going to take control of the assets that are up there.
So let me ask you, Dr. Michael Sala, in regards to this threat, you know, the TTSA, they're always saying there's a threat, there's this government faction that's foreign, and these lights in the sky are a threat. Do you really believe that these craft from another planet are actually a threat to humans, or is it something that is being piloted by humans? Let me just say, is the alien UFO that's being piloted by aliens a threat, or is it like a human that's piloting these incredible UFOs that our Navy pilots are seeing?
Well, what we need to keep in mind is that a lot of these UFOs that are seen coming out of the ocean, there are secret bases, extraterrestrial bases deep in the ocean, and those have been there a long time. So if they had any kind of hostile intentions towards humanity, we would have known that. You know, they could have taken us over during the kind of pre-industrial age rather than waiting until now. So, you know, they have no real hostile intent towards us. They're more monitoring us. But what has happened is that over the last 50, 60 years or so, because there's been a lot of reverse engineering of captured extraterrestrial craft, we have had these secret space programs developed by the Air Force, by the Navy, by the intelligence community, by the corporations, and other countries have been doing the same thing. And so what the Navy pilots photographed in their F-18s off the coast of the Pacific and the Atlantic Oceans in 2004 and 2015, I believe that these actually were reverse engineered craft, that these actually belonged to the Air Force Secret Space Program, and that they were actually being tested against the best Navy intercept craft and the Navy's best radar tracking devices, so that the Air Force guys could see how their reverse engineered spacecraft could operate. So these are not a threat, but the fact that the TTSA is spinning all of this to make it look like a threat, I mean, this really does bring to mind that, you know, maybe what we have here is a kind of like a psychological operation to condition us to think of these craft as a potential threat, because there's still a possibility that at some point you can actually have this false flag event where aliens are depicted as invaders or actually intervening in some way in human affairs.
So let me ask you, so if it's not a threat and these craft are being reverse engineered and, you know, it's being spun in the media, and that's what's kind of weird right here at Third Phase Moon. We've reached out to all the major media, Fox, CNN, the New York Times, the LA Times, the list goes on, but they only want to talk to the TTSA in regards to this threat that's going on, or military eyewitnesses. They don't want to talk to the public. Any reason why?
Well, I think that's something we need to be very suspicious about. Why is it that the mainstream press is going to that particular source consistently to get their interpretation of what these craft that have been captured on video and that were witnessed by the Navy pilots have seen, and what those craft are? That because their press is going consistently to this particular source, they're getting a spin. And that spin is always that this is a threat. And you can appreciate that this is part of this kind of conditioning of the rest of humanity, of getting people to think that this is potentially a hostile presence that may be related to some unknown foreign adversary, maybe extraterrestrial, maybe some underwater, subterranean civilization or so forth, to just kind of like put this degree of uncertainty there, and to make the TTSA the kind of like authority on what this is. And really, when you look at those people, a lot of them have this kind of military intelligence corporate background, so they are totally controlled by the deep state. They're putting out a narrative to get people to think in a particular way, and we need to be very suspicious of that.
Yeah, it's amazing to me that they refuse to take the public's information. In my opinion, I think that's where the real juice of the subject matter really is. Now, let me ask you this, Dr. Michael Sala, in regards to the General Eshed over there in Israel. He came out, he said some major statements in regards to advanced technology, even tunnels underneath Mars, and even the president knows about this, and apparently, according to Eshed, that the president's going to release the information that he knows about in regards to UFOs. Do you have any hope that might happen?
Well, this Professor Haim Eshed's testimony is very important. I mean, he gave an interview on December 4 with an Israeli newspaper that came out on December 4th that really covered a range of issues, and he talked about extraterrestrial life, talked about secret agreements between the US and the aliens. He talked about a galactic federation, and people are very skeptical about whether any of this can be true. But the fact that this person actually ran Israel's spy satellite program for nearly 30 years, very high credentials, a brigadier general in the Israeli Defense Forces, someone that was responsible for designing and setting up these Israeli spy satellites. And actually, he was a guy that was part of Israel's Unit 81, which is this top secret IDF unit that does really incredible work with advanced technologies. They're kind of like a combination of DARPA and the CIA's Science and Technology Directorate, where they're doing all this kind of exploratory work with these breakthrough technologies. So he was part of that as well before he set off to manage Israel's satellite program. So this is a guy that's in the know of Israel's deepest secrets. So the fact that he has come out and said that these agreements do exist is confirmation for what whistleblowers and insiders have been saying for decades now. And now we're getting it from this really high-ranking Israeli senior scientist. So it's making it much, much harder now for the mainstream public and academia and others to dismiss all of this as a fiction. And so people are starting to look at this all again with fresh eyes. And the fact that he actually said that Trump was told that we aren't ready yet by the Galactic Federation, I mean, that's telling us that Trump knows a lot more than what he has been saying in these kind of like very brief media interviews where he makes very vague comments about UFOs being very interesting and Roswell. He might declassify all of that in the future. He's making very vague remarks, but according to this Israeli scientist, Trump knows a lot, and that kind of fits in with his history. I mean, his uncle, Professor John Trump, was the guy that was reviewing Nikola Tesla's papers on behalf of the FBI to look at any possible national security threat by the release of those papers into the mainstream. And so that means that his family has always been in the know or in the loop on some of these really incredible breakthrough technologies. And so I'm not surprised at all that this Israeli professor is saying that Trump knows about aliens and was actually told that humanity isn't ready yet. And I think that's actually going to give us some insight into what may happen.
So do you think the general from Israel will inspire other people within the government of our own background into this technology and inspire other people to come forward?
I think what this professor has done is he's broken the ice. I mean, he's made it clear that it's okay to come out and talk about these things. I mean, you can look at what he said in the interview quite closely in terms of he was very careful not to reveal any classified information. He spoke in kind of very general terms. So he was careful not to reveal anything about Israel's spy satellite program, anything about any classified program, but still revealed that there are these programs that do exist involving extraterrestrial life, talking about agreements, the Galactic Federation, talking about these joint bases on Mars that are run between the US and the extraterrestrials. So he was talking about these things in ways that he could reveal it without jeopardizing any kind of non-disclosure agreement that he has reached. And this is very important because it provides a way for others that have had similar experiences to come out and start talking about these things. Because typically what happens is that these extraterrestrial agreements or these extraterrestrial related projects are always buried underneath a classified program. You know, if you're talking about spy satellites or rocket technologies, and you can't talk about that program because that's highly classified, you don't want to reveal that. But the deeper program is the extraterrestrial one, and so you can kind of like talk about that in general terms without revealing any details about the kind of cover program concerning satellite technologies, rocket technologies.
Sure. Well, let me ask you this. Let me back it up a little bit, change the subject, because there was talk on the major media. Tucker Carlson, other major news organizations announced that we have recovered vehicles not of this world, and then obviously we know they kind of retracted the story. Basically, it was Roswell 1947 all over again to shut down the story. But Bob Lazar talks about this off-world vehicle was discovered in an archaeological dig. So what is it? Is it crash retrievals, or is it recovered archaeological finds that reveal this, extraterrestrial craft? What's your opinion?
Well, what we know from people who have come forward and talked about the recovery of these craft is that often they are taken or found in remote locations, that there seems to have been some kind of incident, a crash of sorts, and that these craft are then taken by secret teams, Operation Moondust or Operation Bluefly is some of the kind of code names used to describe these top secret crash retrieval teams, and they take the retrieved craft to secret facilities like originally it was Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, but later on it became Area 51, the S4 facility there at Papoose Lake. Now that is different to these archaeological digs that have been occurring all around the planet, in terms of, like, say, the Giza pyramids. There have been reports that they found ancient extraterrestrial craft there. I'm sure that they found evidence of these craft in remote locations like India, Tibet, Egypt, of course, South America. And wherever they find this information, these technologies, whatever artifacts, they bring them back into the United States for study. But I think where the reverse engineering of these alien spacecraft has been most successful is the retrieved craft that have been taken to Wright-Patterson or to Area 51, and corporations have studied these and then built their own flying saucers or their own flying triangles or flying rectangles. So many different configurations, but these are things that have been built from retrieved flying saucer craft.
So these findings, obviously you would think that civilians would be finding these archaeological finds, digging it up. Not always a government faction is there to see this being undug. Usually it's found by just normal people treasure hunting. Are they keeping these people, these civilians that have found these craft, silent? And if so, how do they do that? Because in my opinion, again, usually a treasure hunter will find something, not necessarily a government faction with these archaeological finds.
Well, there's a document called the Special Operations Manual. It's part of the Majestic documents that Dr. Bob Wood has accumulated along with his son on their website. And it details the procedure by which, when any craft or any kind of advanced technology is found, how the team moves in to retrieve that technology, and how there are these other teams that come in to sanitize the area. So if there are civilians who saw the craft or the archaeological artifacts and that these have some kind of extraterrestrial connection, those civilians are debriefed, told to be quiet, not to talk about it under threat of dire retribution. And so that typically succeeds when they use that kind of carrot and sticks approach to these civilians. That's certainly what's happened with the 1947 Roswell crash. It was a classic carrot and sticks approach, and Mac Brazel, who turned over access to this retrieved flying saucer craft, he benefited quite handsomely from some kind of like cash or some kind of inducements given to him.
So basically what you're saying, it's pretty easy to suppress a story if a civilian or citizen found something that was otherworldly, and just offer them a large amount of cash to be happy, turn over the evidence, and you'll live a happy life, and don't question anything after that. It's basically what you're saying.
Totally, yeah, exactly. Because if you have a team of special operatives coming into your home, I mean, they're very threatening, very intimidating, and they tell you pretty clearly that this is something that's of national security interest and you need to be quiet about it. But we will give you this if you remain quiet, and if you don't, then these are some of the things that might happen. And so people typically take the inducement and accept that, and it's very rare for people to kind of risk the wrath of the intelligence community, because these people don't take no for an answer.
Well, you know, this is what I got to say, guys. If anybody out there finds anything, they dig it up and they find something out of this earth, just come to Third Phase Moon. We'll share it to the world. We'll just bust it right open and get disclosure right away. That's what we're here for. I want to thank Dr. Michael Sala for joining us. This has been an incredible, insightful discussion we've had. What are you going to be up to next?
Well, I'm now working on exactly what is going to be happening in this coming transition we are witnessing with these elections, and what that's going to mean in terms of disclosure. Like what can we expect with the next president? What kind of disclosure events are going to happen? So I'm looking very closely at that, because I think we are at a really important transition point in our society, in the United States and around the world, and I think disclosure is going to be a big part of the new world that's coming our way.
I want to thank Dr. Michael Sala again for joining us. And for you people out there that want to find out what Dr. Michael Sala is up to, we're going to supply his original link below. Go take a look at him and tell him Third Phase Moon sent you. If you captured anything amazing in the sky, or you dig up something amazing, like I said, contact us right here at Third Phase Moon. Blake Cousins. Keep your eyes on the skies, everybody.
God, Sala is amazing. Thank you, Cousins brothers, Blake and Brent. What a great report. And that is it for tonight. You can catch me, GUFON, Rich Giordano, 6 nights a week, Sunday through Friday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 Pacific, right here on YouTube. And thank you, Third Phase of Moon, for all you do. Can't wait to see what you got coming out next. Until next time, this is Third Phase UFO Report, and I'm Rich Giordano. If you ain't looking up, you ain't looking out for ufology. See you next time, everybody.